Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's rather a challenge for me, being a regulator, to stand before you, such distinguished people, and try to talk about a subject that relates to business in any meaningful way. And I must say, I'm indeed honored and humbled to be before you and give you some tips from a regulator's point of view about opportunities in Africa. And indeed, I must say, I don't want to use this as a marketing opportunity at all, but rather to tickle your imagination and spark your interest about Africa, especially Uganda, which is my mother country. I want to give you a little bit of background. Perhaps some of you have not been to Africa. Perhaps you need to understand what is taking place in most of the sub-Saharan African countries. The major characteristics of these countries are kind of common and similar to what is in India, because we are mostly agricultural economies with small-scale agricultural production, limited access to financial services. Some countries are experiencing rapid population growth rates, kind of improving literacy levels across African countries, but indeed high levels of unemployment. Some nations have formed blocs and are forging economic groupings, and they want to benefit from economies of scale and integration. Typical of most African economies, the per capita incomes are rising and national GDPs are rising too, and over the last decade or so, there's been tremendous growth. There is an expanding banking and financial sector with very huge margins. But of late, in the last 1 or 2 years, inflation has hit most of the sub-Saharan African countries. But I should not even forget that all this is happening against the background of a very poor physical infrastructure. And there is a limited branch network, bank branch network. So I wanted to give this background so that everybody understands the kind of situation that is prevailing in Africa. And that tells you a little bit about opportunities. Indeed, there are many similarities between Africa and India. The most important similarities come from the agricultural value chain. Population growth is another similarity. You have challenges of financial inclusion, as well as micro and small and medium enterprises. The situations are kind of similar between Africa and India. Let me now quickly try to deal with the areas that I think could jog your imagination and perhaps inspire you to begin to dig for more information about the African market. I talked earlier about margins. For the last couple of days that I've spent in this workshop, I've seen margins as a big issue in India. Perhaps this is an area I want to delve a little bit more about. I have numbers and figures related to Uganda because that's my home, and I have collected some data about Uganda. And the net interest margin, what you call the NIM, in the banking system in Uganda between 2008 and 2010 has ranged between 9.8 and 11.3%. Compared to India, I think that is phenomenal. There are perhaps some other indicators. Maybe that's an indication of financial inclusion opportunities and lack of effective competition between the banks. But I also tell you that the topmost bank, the largest bank, commands about 22% of the market.